Yeah, it's true. I spent 2 years, well, essentially 2 years, losing, then ever so slightly losing, and then breaking even before 1 week in trading changed my entire career. So I'm going to tell you that story. And I'm hoping that this story will give you the courage to keep going, even when it seems like trading is the most impossible task you could ever imagine, that you can't get any sort of momentum, that it doesn't make sense, that it's manipulated, that you have no edge, that it's all controlled by the robots, and AI is going to take it over anyway, so what's the point? All of that to be said, there's a way for everybody to make it. It's not for everybody, but if you figure out how to kind of go within yourself, to trust it, to let the game come to you, to keep continuously learning and working on yourself and trading, you can get to the end of that light of the tunnel. And this is a good example of a situation. I want to rewind all the way back to 2013. I was playing poker professionally and had already been doing pretty poorly at that. My lifestyle creep was large and I was not improving at poker anymore. The game was getting much harder, and if you wanted to stay at the top of that game, you needed to work really hard at it. And admittedly, I was too egotistical to like admit that I needed to do that. So I was just coasting. I felt like I deserved to be a winning player, and ultimately I was just spinning my wheels playing poker. And then this random trading opportunity came up through another poker friend. And I've made a video on this before, but I'm going to rehash it a little bit here. I was living in California at the time, and this opportunity was in Chicago, and I was kind of burnt out on poker. I wasn't doing that well. I was like, you know what? Let's go for it. I don't know anything about trading. I don't have a finance background. I went to school for golf management in the South. Like I had no idea about the world of risk or trading or anything like that. But whatever. They were looking to hire some poker players at this firm, and I was like, let's fake it till we make it and see what happens. After an interview process, that's a whole story in itself. I get the opportunity at this trading firm. I moved to Chicago. This all happens very fast. And dude, I want to tell you, I'm literally in a whiteboard room learning what a bid and an offer is. I knew nothing. I didn't know what stock indexes were, what bonds were, what currencies were, what futures were, commodities. I didn't know any of this stuff, man. Nothing. But that's what I was going to be trading, is commodity futures, indexes, anything in that realm, energies, precious metals, all of that. It's a firm that kind of was horizontal. It wasn't specialized in one thing. And you could kind of find your own path, right? So the plan was learn a little bit about the basics of what we're even doing here, get onto sim for a couple months, and then throw you to the wolves and see who can survive. So sim trading's cool, and I'm sure a lot of you have maybe tapped into these sim accounts or these prop trading firms. I'm still just learning what these prop trading firms online are. It's pretty wild. But everybody's experimented with sim and stuff, and although I think it's good to understand flow and movement of markets and to really acclimate yourself with it, there is nothing like putting actual risk on the table. Even if it's a small amount, it changes the game completely. And in more illiquid things, actually taking orders or making orders does impact entries and exits. So sim is good, but I think you have to get off sim as quickly as possible. And that's how they banged that into us. They were like, hey, we're going to put you on sim, but as quickly as possible, we're going to get you off that. And within 2 months, 3 months, I can't remember exactly. This is again, end of 2013. I am live trading, small size futures, and I am in the mix. Now, early on, to give you a little context, I'm making a very, very tiny salary. I was in a 280 square foot studio apartment in Chicago trying to figure this out. I didn't have that much money left, but I kind of acted like I did just to make it seem like, oh, this is no big deal for me. I'm learning to trade. I could do this. But in reality, my runway was not that large even when I started, and it would get much worse. So I'm starting to trade very small size. We're talking 1 lots, 2 lots, trading soybeans, trading Brent and crude and gold and the S&P 500, and I'm really starting to learn what these markets are, how they move, how I interact with them, and it's fun. It's just like when I was playing online poker. So it did feel naturally exciting and exhilarating to me. Now, this is going on for months. I'm losing, of course, I'm losing small. We have limit downs. You know, if you lose 500 bucks, 1,000 bucks, you got to stop for the day. You got to go research. You got to go game plan for the next day. You got to think about what you did. We're going to review with everybody at the end of the day. And we have this little rotation, right? But it's amazing how quick time can go. And mind you, if you don't know about trading, there are fees, there's desk fees and trading fees, and fees are a big deal that not that many people talk about, but it's like a rake in a poker game. Like they take a little bit from every pot, they take a little bit from every trade you make, they take a little bit for software that you use. There's expenses to do this as a living. So not only do you have to profit in trading, right? And then often you have to give a split, right? If you're working for a trading firm or whatever, if you're not trading your own money, you're only getting a portion of your profits. Then you need to pay desk fees, trading fees, and all that. So you have a lot to overcome over time, which is why it's very hard for people to do this as a living. So you can picture this, it's a year in, year and a half in. Trading fees and desk fees are starting to pile up. I'm losing, so I'm digging a hole for myself that eventually I'll have to get out of, right? And this, to be honest, this is nothing abnormal. This happens to most people who start trading. They start losing and most fail and some figure it out and then they get out of their hole and then they reach an exit velocity, right? And then trading's great. But I spent a good year and a half in this hole digging it, and kind of figured out a little bit of how to like get away with not losing that much. But man, let me tell you, I was just all over the place. I'm reading books, I'm looking at charting stuff, I'm thinking about volume metrics, I'm thinking about trying different markets, talking to my buddies and trying different styles. Oh, this didn't work. I'm going to try this. I'm going to be more aggressive, less aggressive. I'm going to go on more illiquid, volatile assets and then less volatile, highly liquid assets. I'm going to try the calendar trades, or no, it's energies that I like, or no, it's the cattle products that I like. I was just, trying and learning and poking and prodding, and nothing was working. Maybe I would use a stop. I wouldn't use a stop. I would hold winners. I would take them too fast. I would martingale and add to losers. I would take losers quickly. I just trying everything. And I realized a year and a half in, I'm getting nowhere. The fees are eating me alive. And I was down to my last, well, let's be honest, it was like 4,000 bucks or so living in Chicago on a salary that barely covered my rent. I was in quite a tough spot. So I was in a really tough mental spot by this point because I did feel like I was learning, like I was seeing something, like I had developed a little bit of a style that made sense to me, but it wasn't working. It wasn't profiting. I felt like I had to force it because the time window was starting to close, right? I was doing these trade reviews and people would be like, I could see what you're trying to do there or whatever, but nothing was clicking. And anytime I got a little bit of momentum, maybe a couple days in a row of winning, I would do something kind of dumb to just give it all back. And then that would unwind into even more of a downswing. So here we are, the middle of 2015, almost 2 years in. I'm down to $4,000. I have like 2 months of runway in Chicago, and I'm starting to think to myself, dude, I don't know if this is going to work out. Am I going to have to like go back to playing poker? It's like poker's kind of illegal at this time. I didn't really want to go back. I had left for a reason. So I actually had to ask my dad for money, which I hadn't had to do before. And for me, that was like a low point, right? It had been a long time since college. I was doing these things that maybe people had approved or didn't approve of for a living. And then I have to, at this point, ask for money 2 years into this trading job that I got. So that was a really rough time. And I knew that without doing that, I had to make something happen quick. And I was in enough of a hole at my firm that like at a certain point, firms will cut you off, right? They're going to say, hey, you're not making enough progress. Good luck to you. It was a good run. And it's very cut and dry. It's not an industry for the weak, that's for sure. So I have, let's be honest, a month, 2 months maybe before like I got to call it quits. And even if they didn't let me go, I would have had to say like, I have no money left. I can't live here. I can't trade. What am I really going to do? So serendipity, in a weird way, fate, whatever you want to call it, gave me a little something. August 2015, and I've made a video about this before, but China kind of saved me. So thanks, China. Shout out to China for that one. In August 2015, they did a over the weekend devaluation of their currency. Mind you, again, at the time, I had no idea what this meant. I had just learned futures. I was in order books. I'm click trading. I'm a day trader, whatever. I didn't know macro. I didn't know cross currency stuff. I didn't know interest rate policy. I knew nothing. And they did that, and I heard about the news, and I come in to trade the Sunday open, and everything starts going crazy. The stock market, the S&P, so ES if you trade futures, started going down like crazy. Oil was going crazy. Bonds were going crazy. Gold was going crazy. And that next week opened up volatility that I had never seen before, because before that, volatility was pretty dampened. The VIX, was low. The opportunities were, I would call, standard. But I finally got to see what volatility looked like and what happens when market makers pull out, when the arbitrageurs are kind of hands off, when the high frequency stuff is not in the game, and it's pure emotion, it's pure paper, it's pure action. And if you don't understand this, like when you're a scalper and you have some skill, when volatility comes, it can be a really good opportunity. The game can get very, I hate to say it, can get easy, especially if you have good software to use and you're pretty dialed in and you have the time to be locked in paying attention. So I finally got to see what edge really looked like, this mythical edge that people kept saying is out there, and I couldn't figure it out, or I couldn't figure out what edge is. I kept losing. And I finally saw it. And it was a whole week of it. And I was able to, first of all, I didn't have time to like be fancy or try to do what other people were doing or read a book or whatever. I just had to do what felt normal to me and what felt comfortable, because things were just happening so fast. And by the end of that week, come Friday, I had made 100K P&L, right? Now, mind you, I was losing thousands and thousands and thousands over time, just chipping and chip, and I was digging this hole. And boom, 100K in 5 days. Whoa. So that was an unbelievable week. Now, this week did affect me in other ways. I had never had, like, I had some weird self-sabotage issues down the road with health and stuff that came from success in this small fashion. But what that week made me realize is that I actually had been learning a lot. I had been improving my arsenal, my skill set of trading. I just needed the game to come to me instead of forcing myself on the game, trying to make stuff happen. I needed to trust that my style did have something to offer me, that the game, like the opportunities were going to come, and that I was prepared. I just didn't see it yet. So I finally felt like I freaking knew something. And that moment was the moment I felt like I went from a losing trader to a winning trader that week, because it all just kind of made sense in a way. I was like, oh, this is what I had learned. This is what good opportunities look like. This is what my style is. And it all came together in this weird alignment. So now, mind you, I had not that much money, right? So this got me out of the hole. It padded my capital reserve at my firm a little bit, paid all, my desk fees and whatever for the month and the quarter, and ultimately got me my first bonus check. And that, getting into the bank, alleviated so much pressure from my life to where I felt like I was given this runway to finally express everything I had learned over the past 2 years. And of course, you might imagine that after that, everything started to tumble in a positive direction, snowballed in positive momentum. So again, I want to reiterate as a quick side note here, like if you are new to trading or you're within a year or 2 years or whatever it is, and it's not working out, if you're getting the reps in and you still have a seat in the game and you're trading real money, you're learning. As long as you're taking the time to, self-reflect on it, talk to people, think about your entries and exits and maybe what went wrong. You're doing the thing. So the goal is to just like survive, because if you can keep surviving and you keep doing that, eventually you're going to figure it out. Something is going to happen in your favor, and it's odd, right? You see a lot of videos out there that are maybe, I spent a year losing, I spent 2 years losing. It's odd that it kind of comes together for people around that same amount of time. So now after that week, I just was like, all right, I am going to lean into my style, right? My strategies, my markets that I like, my low risk reward, or I love high reward, low risk opportunities. I look for asymmetry. I stopped looking at other things. I like the chart setups I like to look at. I thought about things my way and really just started to hammer into that, and things just started to take off. And from that moment on, that month on, for a long time, many years, I never had a losing quarter again. That week, for sure, changed my entire life. And that was when I became a winning trader. August 2015, bar none. So again, if you're in that dark, like you're in the depths of it, just think about how close I was to just hanging up the hanging up the jersey, say, I gave it my good run, and everything changing. Like even at its darkest moments, you have the skill set brewing that like you just need that one tip over to change everything. That one trade setup, that one week, that one set of things that happen that can just change everything for you as a trader. And if when I said markets would feel impossible, that you have no edge, that there's nothing in sight for you, like just remember, reiterate to yourself that every trader went through that, and it is literally part of the tuition. It's part of the process. You just got to get through that and accept it as quickly as possible. It is very normal to feel rushed early on because, you get into trading, you want to see results quickly. It's very hard for humans to accept this idea that you're going to spend a year or two losing, wasting your time, lifestyle costing you money, and having no income here. That doesn't sound like a good time. Everybody feels like they're going to be a different case, right? I've read enough, learned enough, I'm smart enough to outpace this. This should only take me, everything moves faster now. Instead of losing for a year or two, I should only lose for a couple months and then it'll be good to go. Maybe you knew somebody that won a lot and won a lot quickly. And I'm going to tell you right now, that might be worse. If you just start and you win a lot, it is worse, I think. And you win a lot quickly and you don't truly understand what fortunate circumstances occurred for you to take that big win, you will very likely, that person will spend a lot of time slowly giving that back all the way to the start because they're going to have this ego attached to that, right? Like, I am different. Look, I started winning right away. I didn't have to go through that tough process. Look at me. And over time, they eventually kind of revert to the mean, ending back where we all started. And then because they wasted all that time making a lot and then giving it back, they don't even want to restart the process and maybe even have to lose and win. Like, they just give up at that point. So I would much rather start off going into the bellows, going into the deep, and come out the other side to then reach like an exit velocity. So yeah, you're going to feel rushed. You're going to want it now. But if you can just open up your mind to being like, it's going to happen at some point. As long as I keep getting in the reps, trading real money, thinking about myself, thinking about the markets, talking with people, really getting after it, it will eventually come. You just don't know when, and you can't force it. The more you try to exert control on the markets, the more the markets are going to push back and control you, honestly. So that's the story of how I was almost toast after 2 years, and the point that anybody can have their own version of this story, this moment, even if it feels completely impossible right now. And here I am. It's 2025, 12 years after I started my trading journey, and it has rewarded me in spades. I have the freedom of time, the freedom of location. I live in the exact place I want to be. I don't have to go to some office somewhere. I have the freedom to create and make these videos because I have that time. And it's given me the freedom of pursuit and of improving myself and getting to the top of that Maslow's hierarchy where I can really think about how I want to enrich my life the most. So trading ultimately can give you everything you've really wanted, but there's a big tax on the front end. Trading's not for everyone, we know that, but I do feel like there's a way for anybody who's truly passionate about it and truly wants to make it, if they can just figure out their archetype, their alignment with the markets, and they get after it and have enough time, they can make it work. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you're going through it right now. If you're going through that 1 or 2 year period right now, comment below and tell me more about that. Or click the link in the description. There's a free Discord down there called the Risk Cabin. Come join. We're talking about this stuff all the time. Otherwise, cheers. Catch you guys next time.